this week?
Yeah, I think he's a great fighter. I mean, Sam Jones does my nutting, but he's very passionate about his fighters, and he's a big believer in Cameron Vong. I mean, we know he was a fantastic amateur, but what we're seeing from him in the pro gym, you know, sparring with Cattrall and the like, everyone tells me he's a very special talent. So tune in on Saturday for the start of the journey.
And if he does well on Saturday, do you think he's going to be one of these fighters that gets fast-tracked?
I think, you know, fast-tracking a fighter is always dependent on the performances, and you have to analyse that performance and that level after every fight. If you breeze through someone, you just want to step up the level, and if you continue to do that, you move faster. Once you have a tough fight in your second, third, fourth fight, or a little bit tougher, you just say, okay, put the brakes on. But he looks to me like a superstar, and I think Saturday I'll be able to tell. I'm not saying like a Houdini, but I will be able to look at him on Saturday and see if this is a kid that can be fast-tracked. But ultimately, that's a decision that we made by Jamie Moore and Sam Jones.
And of course, Terry Harper, she's going for another world title. Very, very tough fight ahead of her.
I think a really tough fight. I think almost a 50-50, you know. Obviously, Brackhouse has the size, she has the experience, but Terry has the speed, she has the freshness. But I think it's going to be a very tough night's work.
And then going on to Warrington Wood, where do you think the loser goes in this? Because there's still some big fights to be made.
Yeah, I think it depends. If you move up in weight, you go and have a big fight internationally. It depends what you want. Depends how you lose. Do you know what I mean? So I think ultimately we'll know on Saturday in the early hours what's next for both guys, and you know, I think it's going to be a classic that could go either way.
Eddie, with all the serious boxing questions out of the way, there's a fight next week with the influence of boxing. I just want to know, what fight are you most looking forward to, and will you be watching it on your couch at home, or are you going to turn up?
I think I might go. I mean, my kids want to go, right? And I've got one weekend off. It's actually my daughter's birthday next week, so I'm like, I just mentioned it to her, like, just wanted to get the reaction, and it was like, what? You know, what, we can go to that fight? I'm like, oh my God. So I might be bullied into it, but I've got to say, you know, for me, that world is not a world that I can almost operate in with a clean heart. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think I'm lucky enough to be in a position where I can do what I want and what makes me happy. If this was 5 years ago, certainly 10 years ago, I would have been all over this fight like a rat up a drain pipe, right? But it doesn't mean that I can't admire it, respect it, and understand it. And I think what Mams Taylor and Callis Allen have done, and DAZN with Misfits, has been revolutionary. And I think although it is YouTube boxing, it's competitive, and I like the way they're structuring their cards. I mean, if you actually look at that show next week, like KSI against Tommy Fury, whatever way you want to look at it, it's an intriguing fight. Dylan Dennis against Logan Paul, if this fight happens,
if it turns up,
I mean, yeah, but the build-up has been unbelievable, and even Slim against Salt Pappy, right? I mean, who can forget that one? But it's just a really good card. So, and the numbers, listen, don't forget, I work for DAZN. So anything that benefits DAZN, they could knock in 1 million subscribers next week, which is great for us, it's great for boxing. Now, people say, oh, they won't watch boxing. Well, that's DAZN's job from there, to interact with those subscribers, to make them watch boxing, right? So I think it's good all round. We just got to remember, you got boxing and you got Misfits or YouTube boxing. Totally different, totally separate thing. But that card is at least a little bit closer to boxing. You know, the tag team stuff and the girls, and like, this feels a little bit more like a real night of boxing. And I'll definitely be tuned in, if not in attendance.
Eddie, what do you think of Canelo coming back against Jermell Charlo?
I thought he looked good. I thought, I knew he'd come back with a little bit more vengeance. I thought Charlo was just like, I don't know, it's like, even when Golovkin fought Canelo, he never, in the third fight, it's like, I don't know, are you getting paid too much money? Have you got too much money? Because the special ones that have got too much money still stick it on the line. Canelo, AJ, but it almost looked like Charlo was like, I'm getting, I don't know what you got, 8 million, 10 million. And I was like, okay, it's almost like, let's not hurt each other in here tonight. We're just going to get our money. And it's like, all the talk about legacy, sticking it online. A lot of fighters go, I'd rather get knocked out, carried out, than lose on points. But actually, how many fight like that? You got 2 of them fighting like that on Saturday. So, but really disappointing fight, awful.
Seeing Jermell jump up 2 weight classes and not really make a dent in Canelo, does that kind of put a pin in that whole Crawford versus Canelo talk?
I think so, yeah. I mean, Crawford would have much more desire, but there's weight classes for a reason, and We always forget that in boxing. I've been guilty in the past of having a fighter step up a couple of divisions. Oh, he struggles at that weight. He'll be fine up at that weight. But in the changing room, you see a guy in Charlo that actually looked chubby and out of shape, and it was just the wrong weight class.
Just final question from me. Devin Haney, Regis Prograis finally confirmed. What sort of deal is that with Devin Haney? Is it just one fight?
One fight with matching rights for the future as well. So look, he promised me he'd be back after he won the Undisputed, and he's done that. So our job to give him the best fights, but he's got his hands full with Regis Prograis, who's fully confident.
Eddie, where does Canelo go from here? Who do you want to see?
He can fight. I think the plan would have been to do Charlo and then have a really competitive fight and then fight the brother. But now that's dead because the fight was. So Benavidez, I think, is the fight, but I don't think they'll do that fight till next year. So it's going to be interesting to see who they choose for September.
And what about Bivol, the rematch with Bivol? Is that still on the cards?
We'd love to make it, but whether they'll do it or not is another question.
Okay, thanks everyone.
Thank you, Eddie. Cheers.